if everything stays the way it is, I know Jokic is doing his thing. He is doing 2K video game numbers, putting up crazy numbers. But Shai Gilgeous is averaging 35 and 6, over 50% from the field on a team that only has 5 losses this year. That's really good. He may have gotten robbed last year or even the year before. This is the year that he needs to win the MVP. I don't know I'm a Boston fan, bro, but I'm like giddy talking about this because I love the homegrown teams. I love the patience, and they got the right pieces. They kept them together and they built it up, and they're doing things the right way. I'm a huge fan of the Thunder. I really am rooting for them. I love everything about them. Well-coached team. Young dogs on their team. They have no quit in them. They have a lot of bite in that bark because they were down by 10 at half to Boston, and they made a few halftime adjustments. We talked before; those guys were held scoreless, and I think they won by 13. They won by 10 plus. So Thunder are looking good. Jerry, I'm going to let you take the floor here. You can kind of talk anything you want about the Thunder, but do you think the Thunder, 35 games in, do you think that they're finals bound? Do you think there's anyone in the West that could beat them in a 7-game series on the way to the NBA Finals?
I'm going to go ahead and lock it in early, man. Like, I need to go ahead and set up my little parlay on FanDuel, DraftKings.
I'm going to have to put in a bet for OKC making the finals.
I think they're getting there. Like,
I at this point, I'm pretty close to locking it as well.
Plus, just, looking at the top of the West here, things don't look like it's concrete, except for that 1 seed. Like, Houston being up in this mix and Memphis being in the mix.
Dope.
You kind of
sustainable.
Yeah, like, it's exciting to see different teams like be here because Denver's been ruling at the top for years now. I thought Minnesota was going to take this different leap after they won 56 games last year, right?
Oh, they took a different leap.
They did.
They did.
They leaped backwards a few times.
To the bottom of the West.
Hey, man, maybe trading Karl-Anthony Towns wasn't the move. Conversation for another day. But
conversation.
Keeping OKC at the forefront of this conversation here, just number 1 defense in the league, least amount of points allowed per game, number 1 in defensive efficiency.
I'll give it to them too. Best home court in the NBA. I love Boston, but them and Cleveland have crazy home courts.
Because it feels like maybe not so much Cleveland, but OKC gives off this college atmosphere vibe, right? Like,
I actually was like watching I was out yesterday, so I watched the end of the game. And I'm like, they cut to the crowd, and I saw like an older couple in the crowd or whatever. And I'm thinking like, this is like the atmosphere is like you say college, but also like family. Like it seems like a very like family friendly. Like I don't know how to describe it, but like the fans are amazing. You have all different types of fans, which is great. I think that's awesome.
There's everything going on right for OKC this year, and you know what? Shout out to Dante T for making his MVP pick in the summertime when he said it was going to be SGA. And I semi-agree with him. I went the other way, but my guy Ja's having some problems staying healthy this year, but has his guys up there. But I think SGA is running away with this thing, man. I think it's kind of a lot, but OKC does everything the right way, man. I think in terms of team-oriented basketball, despite Shai having 20, 30-point games and counting, leading the league in scoring right now, I think him and MJ are the only 2 players to have 3 straight seasons of 30 points and over 50% shooting for a guard, which is like, wow. But one thing that I wanted to mention to you that I know is going to piss a lot of people off, but I'm all here for it, is that SGA is having a very similar year to probably everybody's favorite guard in this generation. His MVP season in 2016 to that of Steph Curry. Like it's very comparable, but arguably better from a standpoint of impact on both sides of the ball, of course.
On both sides, absolutely.
People are going to make the argument, Steph led the league in steals, because I'm looking at the stats right now. Like, he led the league in steals in 2016. Congrats with 2 of them. SGA currently has 2 steals as well. But looking at the stats side by side here, it's just there's not much of a drop-off outside of Steph's 3-point shooting. But
obviously, Shai a strong 3-point shooter. That's not his game.
But the thing that's more impressive about SGA's this year to me is the fact he's not a high volume 3-point shooter. Like how Steph pretty much turned everybody in this generation to 3 high volume 3-point shooters. Trae Young or Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum. Like, these guys take a lot of threes per game, where it's probably over 8 a game for all 3 of those guys that I just mentioned. But SGA is this classic blend of like what you would expect to see out of the early 2000s, where
This
they
is
call
like we're talking about ratings going down, and we're talking about all these guys shooting threes, and like we're not shooting enough mid ranges and all this stuff. Shea is the perfect example of like that's what you want, like that's what he
yep,
is, like that's the type of player he is, and I think it credits him. I think it says more about him that
absolutely.
he's averaging his numbers, the numbers he is, by not being a big high volume 3-point shooter.
Yeah,
He is shooting a career high this year, 6 threes a game. But even 6 is like in today's NBA
that's
for a
nothing.
star player, that's not a lot.
That's
For a
nothing.
star player, he could easily be shooting 10 a game. Like that's the type of volume that you could look from him.
And
But
that's
for him
why
to average 31 a game on that is nuts.
and
It's
this is
nuts.
exactly why I think that this MVP season, if he wins it, it's more impressive to me than what Steph did in 2016. I'm not
And
trying to take anything away.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm gonna try to help you here, where it's like I think just the way the NBA is going, we're gonna see so many seasons like guys that didn't even win the MVP last year. There was probably 4 or 5 guys you could
Yeah,
have made an argument for. The guy
absolutely.
that third, you could say had a better MVP season than someone that won it 15 years ago. And that's just the nature of the league changing
It's gonna
and, you
change.
know, all that stuff, right? But it's like we're going to start seeing that now where it's like, you know, these impact players like Shea and like comparing it to year before, it's like, yeah, like his numbers look better. And like people might take that the wrong way, like, oh, you're disrespecting Steph Curry. It's not. Both players are special. They're both doing incredible things on their team at this point in time.
Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, listen, Shay's earned the respect to be held in that light, to be in those conversations, to be mentioned amongst guys like Steph Curry right now, because he is doing everything for his team. With Chet being gone, he's the third highest scorer, 16 points a game. And the fact that they won 15 straight without him, Shay's being able to carry the way here. Obviously, they have guys that step up. Hartenstein, and mentioned Lou Dort, and not Andrew Wiggins, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Wall. I mean, they have
They
so
got
Alex
depth.
Caruso. Didn't even mention him. They
Yeah.
have so many
The,
pieces
the
that
only
that
reason
step up.
the only reason why I said that is just because Steph is obviously a focal point on the offensive side of the ball, to where
Mm-hmm.
he has to get going to make his team win. I'm not trying to take anything away from Steph, but not only is SGA that on the offensive side of the ball, but also on the defensive side of the ball, where
Mm-hmm.
I hate to bring this up, but you saw the chase down block that he had
Oh,
on
I did.
Jason Tatum,
Oh, I did.
where
It
that
was
kind of flipped the game on his head.
soft ass take from Tatum, but yeah,
It was. Either
it was a
way,
soft ass. Oh no, very more impressive on the defensive end, 100%.
SGA just seems like a key cog, and probably I don't see a lot of guys take pride in defense as much. Like, of course, the guy who shot he blocked, Tatum does as well. Jaylen Brown does as
Yes.
well, but
Mhm.
SGA just having this
It's
crazy
not
season
common.
right now. And plus, the Thunder are 30-5. And looking it up for the Warriors at this point in time through 35 games, they were 33-2. Obviously, for those who don't know, the Warriors ended up breaking the regular season record for most
And they
wins
didn't,
to win
and then they
73.
lost in the finals.
We're not talking about that right now. But yeah, they lost in the finals. But OKC has a shot to possibly win those amount of games. Maybe they can get to high 60s, but I think getting to low 70s is realistic to where I'm like, wow, these guys could have an historic season. Like they're on route right now. It's not
and, and
unattainable.
and then and then on the other side of things, Cleveland's 31-4. So it's
So
like not we
crazy.
don't have to dive into them, but the fact that you have two teams that are kind of on pace right now or
They play
could,
this
you know.
Wednesday. They play each other Wednesday.
Oh, do they? Oh,
Yeah,
that's gonna be must see TV right there.
yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, OKC is doing a lot of great things out west. I I said earlier that I don't want to lock it in, but at the same time, I really like don't know who else is. I mean, the West is strong. Don't get me wrong. I think the
Hey,
Thunder will get battle tested in the playoffs, but I don't see any team right now that could beat them in a 7-game series.
it's hard, man. Like I think just looking at this Western Conference, how everything shakes out, there's no telling. Like Phoenix is also a team that could rise all of a sudden. They can still get hot
Yeah,
even though they're struggling. So
between the second and 12th seed, there's a 7-game difference, which in the grand scheme of things, we're 35 games in. We still have half the season left. Like that's
you
doesn't
know,
like Phoenix could end up as the second seed in the West. Who knows?
we talk about basketball being a game of runs. So is the season, right?
Yeah.
to where teams
Absolutely.
lose 5 straight and then they win 15 straight all of a sudden. So
Yeah.
should be interesting to see what happens as the season carries on here.